Katie's, that's good, sir.
We call to order the meeting. First, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. First up is the consent agenda items.
Did it. It's my day. Got that on video too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The consent agenda items. Any discussion on the minutes? The expenditures. Donation and grants. Field trip requests and personnel.
So there were quite a few personnel additions.
Yes, there was.
And we have a press release going out, so everyone should be watching for that.
Yes, we'll have a press release for the new high school principal, and we'll have for the added position of the high school, middle school assistant principal, whose primary job will be student attendance.
Any more discussion? Need a motion to accept it? Ms. Weslowski, second. Mr. Bryant, all in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, same sign. 7-0.
It'll be 6-0.
Oh, 6-0, sorry.
Katie is not participating virtually, so.
Okay, second is the financial report.
The corporation financial report, the education fund balance as of April 30th, 2022 was $2,233,026.37. A year ago, this balance was $778,600.99. The operations fund balance as of April 30th, 2022 was a negative $393,701.28. A year ago, this balance was a negative $425,041.80. The investment interest earned year to date as of April 30th, 2022 was $7,796.82. This is compared to $9,565.68 a year ago.
Any discussion? This is a discussion item only.
Are there simple reasons for why the education fund is significantly higher than it was a year ago?
We did not do a transfer to the operations. This is, based on the discussions that we've had, but that's why.
Okay, so then the operations fund looks like it's doing considerably better than like if it hasn't had a transfer?
Correct.
Okay.
And we are anticipating a full property tax installment from the county in this next couple weeks because property taxes were due, so we should see a large deposit for that.
We have several positions that are budgeted with ESSER money as well.
Yes.
So you're seeing that growth in that fund for that reason as well, as we end the school year.
When did the bond payments start on the bond from last year?
We have not started anything yet. We have talked about how we have talked about plans for that money. Nothing has been set in stone.
Repayment
When
of
do we
it.
start making repayment on the bond?
Oh, I'm sorry. We will in June. June will be our first one. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Also, no. April was a 3-pay month for us, so that's why it's a little bit more negative than what we would like to see. But it was a 3-pay.
Cafeteria report.
The cafeteria fund balance as of April 30th, 2022 was $249,017.04. This is compared to $170,485.43 a year ago.
Latchkey report.
The latchkey fund balance as of April 30th, 2022 was $3,232.48. This is compared to $1,823.19 a year ago.
Okay. Celebrations.
Yes. It's my honor to introduce May's Educator of the Month, Renee Hensley. Renee is in her 20th year of teaching for Franklin County Schools. She received her bachelor's degree in education from IU East and her master's in education from Indiana Wesleyan. She was nominated by a parent, and the parent commented she has helped many children not give up on themselves. She always makes sure to put a smile on kids' faces. She makes the kids at Laurel feel like they matter. A lot of kids look up to her. She's very involved in her church. I didn't know you were mowing and doing maintenance. Okay. And music. She does all 3 things at the church. Flowers, yard work, and I know she does fitness because when I live in Richmond, and I was coming out of a store, and there she was, like, where are you doing all the way in here? She goes, I drove all the way here to do an exercise, CrossFit. So when she was asked what she loves most about her job, the best part of my job is connecting with my students. I love joking with them and hearing the funny stories they tell. When I first started teaching, there was so much I didn't know about interacting with children. Over the years, I've learned that kindness is best. Kids respond to someone treating them respectfully and sincerely. I have many kids who will also always be my kids. So congratulations.
Thank you.
On educating. Here's a certificate signed by all the board members.
Thank you
For
very
you.
much.
And you are the key to unlocking every child's potential.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Tom Marshall, and he informed me that he went to high school here, and this used to be the shop area.
I came in one day and I made that table, and one of the guys glued it to the ceiling.
You're fine.
Not quite.
She's also a pickleball player.
Thank you.
It is my pleasure to present you May Support Staff of the Month, Lisa Goins, in her 8th year working at Franklin County Community School Corporation. Lisa was nominated for this honor by 5 colleagues, 5 different nominations. When asked why Mrs. Goins should be considered for this recognition, they responded, Lisa is a paraprofessional that is priceless. Lisa is very smart, and being a teacher at one time, she knows exactly how a classroom should be run. She is encouraging and supportive of all students and teachers that she works with. Lisa will always rise to the task without a single complaint. In fact, she often asks how she can help rather than waiting for a task to be given to her. She has filled many roles within the building and has proven that she is able to work effectively with all grade levels. She interacts very well with students, and they respond well to her. Overall, Lisa is a faithful, willing, consistent, and dedicated individual who we are grateful to have in our school. In addition to her school responsibilities, she's a 4-H club leader at the Oxford Pike Pioneers here in Franklin County, an active member of her church helping with the children's ministries. When not at school, she enjoys scrapbooking and attending crafting classes. When asked what the best part of her job, Lisa responded, in my 8 years at Mount Carmel, I've been able to work with all different grade levels and different kids. Currently, I'm working with kindergarten students, and there's never a dull moment. I love their excitement every day. I'm so blessed that I get to work with amazing students and staff at Mount Carmel. Congratulations. And your desk. Okay, at this time, we're gonna go on, but if you wanna exit, you guys can very gracefully if you want to, unless you wanna stay and watch the rest of the meeting.
See you later. See you later.
We have no statements.
At this time, we have no statements from the public, statements from employees, superintendent's report.
No reports, so we'll move on to old business. Last board meeting, we reviewed policies 1100, 1130, 1200, 1214, 1220, 1230, and 1231. Are there any questions or comments? If not, we would ask for board approval on those policies tonight.
Any discussion? No discussion, need a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Foster, need a second, Ms. Weslowski. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. 6-0. New business?
We do have a couple of changes in our handbooks tonight, and the first one is the elementary student handbook. Mrs. New is here to present on behalf of all the elementaries. So step on up to the podium. We are streaming this live, so that's why we need you to speak into the microphone.
So it was brought to our attention that we did not have a student drop-off and pickup policy in the handbook. So the elementary teachers created one. We would like for adults to stay in their car at all times. If the child at the beginning of the year needs help buckling in or has a broken leg or a medical issue, they would pull to the designated spot to receive that assistance. Supervisors will be on duty at all times. We would like, we are going to purchase permits for all car riders at all 3 buildings. Families will get 5 copies, 2 window tags, and 3, they look like credit cards that parents have to show at all in order to pick up their child. That'll make it easier for people like me that don't know everyone. And then also students will remain in the building until called, moving forward instead of being outside. And that is what we would like to add to the handbook. And then, of course, we have the times. Since all 3 of us have different start times and end times, those will be listed in the handbook as well.
Brookville Elementary started using the tags this year. It's been very, very successful for them. And as we sat and talked about it, we also thought it would be very helpful to have those if we evacuated and reunification at an off-site location. That will help with that process as well, because it'll be crazy anyway. But if the parent has the tag and the other tags on the student's book bag, that will help that process.
So all the kids get a tag too?
Yes.
Book bag.
On the
All right.
book bag.
Okay,
One of the credit card size tags we would put on their
Zip
book.
tie on there.
got it, okay.
So that will help in that process as well.
Is it just like a number on the tag or what?
It is, correct. It's just a number.
I've seen it in action and it seems to work very well.
We asked Jason to come out and watch all 3 buildings, and that was the only difference that we had this year. And he said it really expedited the process, especially at the beginning of the school year.
The only question I have is if the parent pulls to our attention something that can be improved, are we gonna have to go through this procedure since it's a policy? I mean, I understand why we're doing it and I'm for that, but I also wanna make sure that we're fluid and making any changes necessary.
Well, we meet once a month, so if we have to make a change to a policy,
We've done
it's
that in the middle of the
within
year
a month.
We have done in the middle of the year,
Yes.
that was my question, is the question.
Especially if it's safety
And I would
related.
also like to commend Mrs. New, she's done a wonderful job in dealing with the problems that we've had there with what went on and everything. The community's responded really well to her, and she works hard with the community, and she's just been a diamond in the rough for us there.
Okay, any more discussion on the elementary handbook? Need a motion?
When do we get the tags? Does that happen at registration?
Yes.
Before school starts?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I just know, we don't do that at Mount Carmel, so I know people will have questions.
Yes,
So moved.
correct.
And second.
Bromback, Mr. Foster, second. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, same sign. 6-0.
And we have a transportation change, and this will go on all student handbooks, and Mrs. Brittany's here to discuss that change.
Okay, so in the student handbooks, I was reading through, and there were some things that I thought needed updated and possibly moved around. So, in your packets, you should have received a copy. But what I'd like to do is, it said in there that we took bus schedules in writing. I don't want to do that anymore. Now that we have Easy Routing, our software for routing, and parents are able to submit requests and changes in that software. And then we're going to no longer use bus change tickets. Instead, I would like for a parent or guardian to call the transportation department, and with any urgent matter resulting in a bus change, we would review that and go through the process of getting that change taken care of and notifying the schools, secretaries, and the bus drivers involved. And
That's a
then
permanent change? Not like, I gotta pick up my kid today, don't put him on a bus.
So, like with the bus change?
Yeah.
request, Um,
That's if I want a permanent change to my current schedule, correct?
that will be submitted into Easy Routing
Okay.
for a permanent change, and it needs to be a set schedule. For an urgent matter, like someone won't be able to be home to get their child or something, call it in and we'll
To
see
the
what we can
school
do.
or to you?
I would like it to be at the transportation department, just so we can make sure that we get the correct information to which school's involved and which bus drivers are involved.
You know, some of the calls come into the buildings in the morning and they get extremely busy, and we don't get that information until later in the day. We would like that call to come straight here to bypass one step, so she and Melissa can work on that and get the information back to the school and the driver before the end of the day, because there have been times it happens at 10 minutes till the buses leave, and that's not enough time to make sure all parties know. So,
Yes, and in the handbook, it also says that all changes will only be accepted 1 hour prior to dismissal. I understand emergencies happen, but we'd like for it to be as soon as possible
Yes.
throughout the day. And it also just saves the school secretaries the step of saying, hold on, let me call this transportation office, and then they forward it to us, and we go back and forth, where they can just start here, and we'll pass it along. And then I also removed I think it was only in the elementary school student handbook, but I wanted to make them all the same and very similar. I removed the number of locations per student that they were allowed to have for pickup and drop-off. Now that we have our routing software, it's made it it's been a lot easier trying to keep track of where students are going. So the biggest thing is having a set schedule. So the number of locations I don't think are too much of a concern if we know where everybody's going on what days, and it stays continuous. And as well, they can always go in and change, but I would only like to have request changes for a change to a new set schedule. And then all of the other changes that were done were some minor verbiage ones, or there were some things that were listed under regular schedule defined that should have been up under bus changes, so I just moved those up. But other than that, there wasn't a whole lot.
If it's a change from a bus to a pickup or vice versa, does that still go to the school?
Yes.
Not if there's not a bus change, but if it's just like my
Correct.
kid has to go to the doctor, I need to pick him up.
Correct.
That goes to
That
the
can
school
just go
office
to the
still.
school. It's only if
Got
your
it.
child needs to ride a different bus somewhere else because something has come up and nobody will be where they need to be.
Okay.
Any more discussion?
Yeah, I have one question. You said that we're good to go on the easy, what's it called?
Easy routing.
Okay. Do the kids have a swipe, or how do we follow the kids?
So as long as the students ride the bus they're supposed to ride, that's the best way we can do it. We looked into a thing called Z-Pass, but it wasn't very successful with the students keeping their cards with them. It was something where they could walk by and scan their card, and it would notify us that they were on that bus, and when they got off, it would scan again, and they would get off. It wasn't very successful for us, but I'm in communication with our drivers a lot, and I continuously send them messages to let me know if they have any students riding their buses that are not on their roster, and they always come back to me letting me know if there's someone else riding that shouldn't have been, and if that does happen, I just reach out to those parents and I say, it's come to my attention that your child's been riding this bus. Is there something I can do to help? Do they need to ride this bus regularly? Can I put them on a schedule? Just so we know where all students are at all times in case of emergencies. I just like to know I like to let the parents know where their children are. So.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Need a motion? Ms. Wasilowski, need a second? Mr. Bryant? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, same sign. 6-0. Possible changes to the 2022-2023 school calendar.
Yes, so I met with teacher discussion team after school today. We've been waiting on some guidance from the state. They're changing the format of e-learning days. As you know, we have gotten the past 2 years, if we have a snow day, we have an e-learning day, and we all know what that looks like. this past legislative session, they redefined what a virtual student instruction day looks like, and it is now an instructional day where at least 50% of the students that are enrolled in the building participate in at least 50% of instruction that is synchronous. So that would mean if we're at home, all the teachers are logged on. In elementary, they would have to be doing it for 3 hours of that total time, high school 2.5, middle school 2.5, and 50% of the number of students in that building have to be on for 3 hours. We felt, I think that number one, that's unrealistic to think that that's going to happen. I don't know how elementary kids could stay online for 3 hours.
Like they want a kid to sit in front of a computer for 3
Yes.
hours?
Yes.
Live
At home?
instruction,
Yes.
yes. That's the definition.
In a county
of
that
it.
doesn't have great internet?
Yes.
So you're gonna sit in a parking lot for 3
So
hours?
we're not going to do it. So, the state does allow for 3 waiver days. So our traditional e-learning days, the way that we've always done them, we will continue to do that, but we only will do it 3 times. If we choose to do it beyond that, and we can't document that we did have all of those parameters, it wouldn't count as an instructional day. They would look at it through the way we submitted attendance and enrollment, and they would tack it on at the end. So I don't know if that's something that we want to not really know. If you spend all that time and energy doing it that day and it doesn't count, I don't think we're going to have very happy parents and very happy teachers
Right.
at the end. So
What do you mean by the 3 waiver days?
they're saying it 3 waiver days, meaning it can look any way you want it to look, like we've been doing it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it still counts as an instructional
Yes.
day?
After number 3, on number 4,
You
it's
gotta
got
do it
to
their way.
define that way. Yes.
Got it.
So we're going back to, unfortunately, our successful PLC time that we've had, where we've been to a semester. Students are out all day, but they're e-learning. Those are going to now go back to the early release days, where every building will get out 30 minutes early based on their dismissal time. And we will go back to Martin Luther King President's Day being snow makeup days. That way, that gives us 2 opportunities. If we do have bad enough weather, we can make those up and still save those 3 waiver days and use them how we need to use them.
So the first 3
First 2
snow days,
First 2 snow days, we will be closed.
first 2 snow days of the year will be closed.
Correct. And we'll
To
make
be
them up
make up on President's Day and Martin Luther King
if they
Day.
fall before that, yes.
Okay, and then after that, for the next 3 days will be e-learning.
Correct.
If we happen to have crazy weather, we're tacking it to the end of the year because we don't have anything else
Correct.
left to add.
Correct. I know. I really felt like we had a great calendar this year. They've changed what that definition is. So the calendar doesn't change as far as vacations, et cetera. The first student day, the last student day, everything's the same. What it will change for is parents, now you have 8 early release days instead of 4 full days. And now we'll go back to the traditional, at least 2 snow days, if they happen prior to those days.
I mean, I like that. That's kind of nice. Kids can have a snow day as long as it's not ice day.
Yes. You know,
Right.
we've typically had a snow day in December, so we would be closed and we'd make it up in January. If we had one between January and February, we'd make it up on President's Day. And anything after that, 1, 2, and 3 is e-learning. Anything beyond that is after May 25th.
So don't schedule your vacation.
Yes. So if I don't have a calendar, but I will have Kendra update this tomorrow.
What was driving that? Do you know why they made the change? Because it seemed to be nice for the teachers to have their time, and
I don't know.
it's nice having a set schedule.
I think I don't know.
This is something probably that we could contact Jeff Rotz and tell him our views on it and see if there's any wiggle
It's a
room or
pretty big
changes
ask
that could
for a
be.
rural
It is.
state.
Yes.
It is. So I need approval to of those changes and I will have Kendra email that new calendar to parents.
Okay. Any discussion? Bless you. Okay, need a motion? Mr. Bryant, need a second? Ms. Westlowski? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, same sign.
When we send the notice out for the new calendar to parents, can we give them a heads up of the change so that when they look at it, they're gonna see the days of the early release, and they might not realize it's early release to notice that it's the different, because it's still gonna be color coded on the calendar the way it was before. They may just look at it and think, oh, there was no change or anything. So we might wanna point out when we send it out to make special note of the change between early release and this day and the makeup days, that type of thing.
Now, did that come from the Department of Education?
Yes. The legislature changed it, but they've been mulling it over with attorneys for about at least a month before we receive this guidance.
Okay. Curriculum cost fees for 2022 and 2023 school year, grades K through 12.
Okay, you have in your packet a sheet that has all of those, and that breaks it down, all the charges for every class. I've also left a cheat sheet at your desk, at your seat, that goes through each grade, what the charges were, the fees were last year, and what they are recommended for this coming year. Also, want to point out that high school says $31.98. That depends on the schedule of classes. Each class has a different fee, for example, different textbook fee, so those could be different prices there. Also, we've gotten new math books, and all those rental fees are there. And then a couple notes that in 21-22, iPads were purchased with a gear grant. The cases were purchased with a gear grant for the Chromebooks in 3 through 6. And then for this year, Chromebooks were purchased for 7 through 12 with the ESSER grant. That's going to reflect why those prices have gone down. And the Google app fee was purchased with ESSER as well. And then there was a minimal technology fee added to cover insurance costs for each of those grades.
The cost for kindergarten last year was $68 and jumps to $93.
It's the math.
Math. Yes, there's a math adoption this year.
We did math adoption K through 12. So prices have, we did this 6 years ago.
Okay.
So the math is new, and they have gone up considerably.
That's why all the prices is going up pretty good. Yeah. Any discussion?
We've tried to offset a lot of the costs through the Google app and Canvas, and we bought the devices K2 and 7-12. So hopefully our next goal will be do that for grades 3 and 4, 3, 4, and 5. So
What do they do with those? Does everybody turn those old iPads in, and what do they do with them? The company take them?
most the iPads or the Chromebooks,
I mean,
when it's
yeah.
time for them to expire, they typically aren't updating to the new operating system, or we'll use them as loaners.
Okay.
And we'll use them until they cannot be used anymore.
Okay.
We get every ounce of them. Toby will have some of them purchased back at a reduced cost, but we do keep a lot of them for loaners.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Need a motion? Mr. Bromback, need a second. Ms. Foster, all in favor, raise your hand. 6-0. All opposed, same sign. Media Specialist Assistant job description.
Yes, this is for elementary and secondary media specialist assistant, no longer library assistant. We're bringing it up to what's actually going on in the media centers now with more technology. So I shared this with Laura Frondorf, and our new young lady will be coming in to the high school, middle school media specialist next year. And we worked on this together and put this together. So this is what the new job description and duties and responsibilities of the media specialist assistant will be. I'd like to be posting this here tomorrow if we have it approved.
Any discussion? Need a motion to accept? Ms. Weslavsky, Ms. Foster? Second. All in favor, raise your hand. 6-0. Board policies 1240, 1241, 1260, 1400, 1411, 1422, 1422.02, 1430, and 1461.
Yes, these are for discussion only. The first one, 1240, is the evaluation of the superintendent. You'll be participating in that in about another month. And it is a process that the ISBA has on their website. So you will participate as a board. I will give you a self-analysis of myself. You will all complete the assessment individually, and then you'll review it as a group. And it's going to be at an executive session where no other business is discussed. The evaluation shall include progress towards the goals, the effectiveness at providing direction to staff, and the working relationship between myself and the board. And the very last part is at the outcome of the evaluation, the board shall be prepared to judge the retention of the superintendent and be prepared better to identify strengths and weaknesses and establish specific objectives. So typically after the evaluation, I would sit down with the board president and they would go over the evaluation and talk about strengths and weaknesses and goals for next year.
Any discussion? Okay, transportation?
Nope, that was only 1240.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
1241 is non-reemployment of the superintendent. If the services of the superintendent aren't satisfactory, you have to notify the superintendent in writing. That's usually done by the president and as approved by a board. So you can do that at the expiration of the contract when there's not any intent to renew in person, or it can be delivered registered mail. No later than January 1 of the year in which the contract expires. The last note, the contract can be terminated if it's mutually agreeable between the superintendent and the board. Any questions?
Any discussion? 1260.
We're picking on the superintendent tonight. Incapacity of the superintendent. Obviously, if at any time the board or the majority of the board vote that the superintendent is incapacitated to perform his or her duties, they can be removed at any time for cause. So incapacitated, it could be at the request of the superintendent, and that would be certification of a physician selected and compensated by the board. If the board determines that the superintendent is unable to perform his or her duties, he or she can be placed on sick leave with pay, not to exceed the amount accumulated sick days or unused sick days that the superintendent may have at that time. It can be with pay, without pay. And it can't extend beyond the current contract. So if you're at the end of the contract and you have so many sick days, it can't go beyond.
Is there any requirement on the fill-in person as far as licensure?
I don't believe so. I've heard of, across the state of Indiana, interim superintendents being the high school building principal. So I think it would be up to the board. Job descriptions, 1,400. Obviously, Keith and I try to maintain those and keep those up to date, keep them fresh, keep them relevant. We typically evaluate when that person may be resigning and we're hiring a new one, or if they're retiring, we have them review to make sure that those are relevant and those job duties still remain the same. So we will continue to do that and keep them brief, factual, and something that we can use if we're going to evaluate that person with. We typically have been doing that as well, taking the job description and making the evaluation rubric for support staff, etc. Okay. Whistleblower, I think everybody knows what that is. So basically saying is we can't discipline, retaliate for any employee that's making a report that is required by this policy, as long as the employee has good faith that it's truth and accurate. So I don't think, do I need to go over that at all? Okay. Non-discrimination, this is an extremely long policy, but it's all based on Indiana code or some kind of Civil Rights Act or age discrimination, etc. And obviously, we have a disclaimer that the board does not discriminate based on race, color, origin, sex, etc. Then they define several words: complainant, who the respondent is, corporation, third party, days, military status, and the corporation compliance officer, which is now the director of operations. So that will be added in the policy. Which the corporation compliance officer is required to follow federal and state laws and regulations. There is an investigation and complaint procedures, 1422F2. That looks like it is a procedure in form, which I don't think has come up yet. But they do refer to policy 2266, so that looks like it'll be next when we get ready to do our 2000s. There's an informal complaint procedure. There's a formal complaint procedure, very spelled out. The investigation will have an interview with the complainant, interview with the respondent, and any other witnesses. And at the very bottom, we have marked that the complaint process comes to me, and in the decision, the superintendent shall be final. We did not check that it is appealed through the board.
Now, will that be added to the Director of Operations job description?
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Make sure it's tacked on there.
Yep. That's a very long policy, so put your eyes on it. Make sure you agree with it.
The decision by the superintendent is final. Is that going to conflict with the union contract in any way?
This would be.
I mean, I don't care that it's
That's under
final. I just want to make
IC
sure that
code.
Yeah. Well, it
we
doesn't
don't have
to
any
be.
conflict.
Right.
Because I know in their contract they have the right to appeal just about anything, right?
It's not in their contract. It is in the employee dismissal handbook for ISBA. So it does have an appeal if you're looking to dismiss a teacher. Yes.
So what if you were looking to dismiss because of this? Like which policy?
If you're dismissing, that we would follow due process and do that.
Okay.
But if we're looking at a non-discrimination complaint, then it would stop in my desk.
Okay.
Yes. But if it went further, then it would, yes, it could
All
get
right.
to the board. Yes. The next one is non-discrimination based on genetic information of the employee. I had to read this one really a lot today. So I'm guessing you can go out and you can get information on It's called GINA. It's Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act of 2008. There's probably information out there on genetic tests of individual family members or any kind of disease or disorder in the family members' individual history or a family history, any participation in clinic research that includes genetic services. So any of that, we cannot discriminate based on that information. But I believe that we'd have to be going out seeking that, and I don't know why we would. But I'm assuming someone has, or we wouldn't have this policy. And that is overseen by the Corporation Compliance Officer, which is Mr. Isaac.
Don't ask for a genetic test.
1430, leave of absence. This is referring to all administrative staff. It is saying that they're entitled to the same leave benefits provided in the master agreement because all of our administrators are on teacher contracts, and then they have an addendum. So they are covered by the teacher's master contract. All requests for unpaid leaves shall be presented to the board for approval. There is a leave of absence spelled out for members of the National Guard or Reserve, and there's a leave of absence for active duty. But the employee has to be employed for 12 months, but they can ask for unpaid leave if the active duty orders are 30 days before they leave, during a period in which the person ordered to active duty is on leave, and during the 30 days after. So there are 3 ways that they could qualify if they've been a 12-month employee, and it cannot exceed 10 total working days. The board, I did check this. The board shall require the administrator to use any earned vacation, personal leave, or any other paid leave except for sick. And it does say the notice is to be given 30 days before, unless those orders are issued 30 days or less. So if we have 30 days, we need that notice. Sometimes that's not always applicable.
Yeah, sometimes they don't.
It's the next day.
Yeah.
So if administrator is taking a leave of absence, they're restored to the position that they left. So this is administrators. We'll get to other employees later on when we address the other policies.
The request for the unpaid leave of absence to the board approval, what if it's an emergency situation? Can it be done retroactively? Do they take the...
If we don't have that 30 days?
Well, it's just that first paragraph, not the 30 days, but the preamble. All requests for unpaid leave of absence by administrators shall be presented to the school board for approval.
Yes.
What if it's an urgent situation? They just, I guess, have to...
It would have to be retroactive.
They'd have to take it sort of at their own risk, and then it'd have to be retroactive on the approval?
Yes. They are using, if they're using vacation days or personal days, then they're definitely guaranteed, obviously, that they're going to get paid leave days. If they didn't have any leave days, that would be the risk that they would be taking, that they would be unpaid if the board chose not to approve it. And let's see, 1461, the last one. Unrequested leave of absence. This policy, I guess you could say, is to protect students and other employees from administrative staff members who are unable to perform their job. The board can place administrator on unrequested leave of absence when the staff member is unable to perform the assigned duties.
Is that paid or unpaid?
It could be either. If if the superintendent believes that an administrator cannot perform the job duties, there's probably a meeting to discuss. And then a position designated by the board and compensated by the board would evaluate that situation. I think it does talk about in here if that person refuses to go to the physician that's been appointed by the board, there could be a neutral third party if both the board and the administrator agree. There is that option as well. And then I think that last sentence on there, if they refuse to submit to the examination request by the board, refusal is subject to administrative staff member disciplinary action up to dismissal. Yes.
Any discussion? Discussion only?
Yes.
Next is transportation.
Shirley Kerr is requesting to transfer her contract on bus route 15 to Cynthia Blanton at 5020 Seal Road, Brookville, effective 5/28/2022.
Any discussion?
What bus, like, do they, I don't know how that works. Does Ms. Kerr have her own bus, or?
It would be just her the contract that she might have
Cynthia
more than
Blanton
one.
has to find the bus?
She's got two, so she's selling this one to Cynthia Blanton.
Okay.
Yes.
Any more discussion? Need a motion? Ms. Wasilowski, need a second? Mr. Grant? Reeves? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, same sign. 6-0.
In the last, under other, Rodney Hunter with B2E Sports wants permission to use the Brookville Elementary gym June 1st through the 3rd, 9:30 to 12 for a fundamental basketball camp. I believe in your packet there was the insurance rider as well, and he's done the facility usage request as well. I think he's done this before. It's been a couple years, but he has, yeah, he's done it before.
Now, do they pay for the use of that, or?
Yes, they
Do
will.
they? Okay. All right, discussion? Any discussion? All right, need a motion? Mr. Bryant, second, Ms. Wasilowski. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, same sign. 6-0. Legislative updates?
No update.
Okay, future agenda requests?
Rick, do you want to talk about anything that we heard Wednesday night? I can't think of anything really blaring.
Yeah, there's some legal things, I think, we'll go over that and, bring it to the next meeting.
Okay.
Recognition and acknowledgements, none. This time we'll adjourn. Next school board meeting will be at 7 o'clock on Monday, June the 13th, at the Franklin County Administration Building at 225 East 10th Street, Brookville,